Go ahead. Go ahead.
Good evening. This is the October 8th meeting of the Ocean Report Authority. Please stand for the flag, led by Senator Nelson.
This part, Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and we thank you for the opportunity that we can gather here to conduct business in the court of law. We ask now that you will give us discernment, give us wisdom to make the decisions that must be made. Father, we ask that you would be with our first responders, with those that serve us each and every day. Bless our nation, bless our military. We ask it all in Jesus' name.
Commissioner Moore,
Here.
Commissioner Hill,
Here.
Secretary Treasurer Cole,
Here.
Vice Chair Nelson, Chair Taylor.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to everyone who's joining us this evening. Welcome to spend your Wednesday evening with us. Public comments on non-agenda items. They don't have any speaker card for non-agenda items, but we'll open up if you want to have some comments. Non-agenda items. Approval of minutes, tab 7A, September 10th, 2025. We have Central East, September 24th, 2025. I do have a speaker card, Mr. Bob Virtue for tab 7A. Mr. Virtue.
Thank you, Coffer, should good one for person. My on September 10th, when we got to the CapEx discussion, which I think is 11D, I raised a question about numbers that were in there for warehouses. And you were correct, the minutes are correct, that they reflect, that Scott said that it probably relates to the fact that there were 2 warehouses scheduled originally. But I want to add, if I can, to the minutes if possible. Ted McNair raised his hand and said, we have no plans at present for the warehouse, for Java warehouse. And I would like that reflected in the minutes if possible. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so
Yeah.
for any comments for 7A, you can take care of it or at all. A motion that we combine. Second. Yes, we have a motion, from Commissioner Vice Chair Nelson, second from Commissioner Moore, that's the bottom. Approving it, bottom. Approving. Yeah. All right, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Tab 8, attorney reports, this file.
There's a letter in front of you that was emailed, and I emailed it to Amy Polson, the operator's attorney, and it's just general. I mean, we don't have to go through the letter, but in my time here, I observed and, taking questions from Ted and from Amy about the Customs and Border Protection facilities, grants that we've already committed to, the security services. Why does the port operator pay the security services? And that's fine. Questions can be asked. But in the meantime, we're paying legal fees and have been reimbursed for those same class of fees, and the reimbursements have stopped. So I think we plan to have a workshop at our next meeting in October to go over like some capital improvements, expectations. But I think that we probably also need to list the items that if the operator has questions, we've got to be able to work out these items, because I know for Ted, and I understand it, he comes into this and he's, sitting at these meetings like, oh, we have security services. And yes, the operator pays for that and the operator pays for that. And he wants to know, rightfully so, where is it in writing that we pay for that? So in addition to talking about our future, I think we have to talk presently about the things that the operator and the port are either in a disagreement about or have questions about so that the bills can get timely paid. We're talking about reimbursements that were made in our last fiscal year now that are still not reimbursed. So that creates problems with our budget, et cetera. So, and outstanding liabilities, we can't have them. So,
Well, thank you. We're here to just, well, I certainly appreciate this. And, as the new person, I think, being here, but we have so much experience, in the government role and, working with the board, understanding partnerships and vendors, the contracts, those types of things. I think it's very valuable to have that. What we've seen in the last, 5 months is correct. We have some disputes there, and we need to get through them. So I think, yes, I think the best way to do that, we take our October 22nd meeting, turn that into a workshop, and then we just go through it. We try to find some resolve. There's a little, there's issues that date back, they're looking at the history of the issues that date back, to someone's board prior to Ted.
Mhm.
But that level of distrust, you gotta get a work with it and try to do what's right, what's best for business, what's best for the community, and move forward. So I think again, very valuable put together here. We got any board comments, questions.
Yeah, so I actually get emails here and Roseanne, I was saying that it's them to keep track of how much of your time for starting last month and it was back last quarter, so those was how much time we spent on grant administration, grant applications, in-service directly to requests from the program we need it. That's not to say that these things are bad, but we just need to understand where our administrative costs are going. And I know that Roseanne is overwhelmed with responding to requests for interrogatories related to property appraisal case, rejections related to property appraisal case, EIDP, grant application, all of the information that come together. Besides, carrying all of the emails back and forth, and counting one day 30 emails, just related to work activities. And it's just a lot. So she's exceeding her hours, her costs are getting too high. We don't know what for them. And it used to be we introduced the agreement that the operator did fund the board director, like I see the point of contact, and that's the efficiency that was cool. We tried a lot of different models. So I think we have a lot of examples of how it can move forward. And we need to control those costs too. I don't think we should go over to the operator's business as being one check that we can just hire lawyers and we can just run up our administrative costs and then just pass them up. And then somehow there's going to be one check from the terminals to reverse that. So I think we need to be proactive, we need to sharing all the information. So I think it's a good step. I think we need to respond to Amy's letter related to package fees and I have an opportunity about that. So she agrees she's going to respond to that. But my hope would be that we would come into this discussion already having exchanged some information about what the discussion is going to be about. So we can have a list of items that we're addressing, a proposed path forward, and I expect that you all will do the same. So that we're not starting from scratch or having no guardrails. If the end of the year is not a reasonable time to do it, for your company, because of trying to meet more targets, that maybe you're not going to having some instruction and services plan, then tell us what we can do. But I don't think this should be seen as you're going to apply with your should be seen that way. But you know, until they're installed to deal with it.
and when I wrote the letter, although I am counsel for the Port Authority, to be clear about that, I wrote the letter from an objective standpoint because I know that the relationship is important, right? It's vital that we have a working relationship. And I wrote it to say, I'm putting this on the table. I've seen these things myself and I'm getting questions about them. When I have asked, Amy has been great. She tells me, that she can't get to something. She's been very communicative. So I feel like we have a good relationship. Our- There's nothing that's either not going to be in writing. I mean, all of this stuff, it's not just our opinions or what we would hope on either side. It's based in agreements. Some of that may not be as clear as either of us would like, but they are, or past practices. And I was talking with Chair Taylor just before the meeting started, and he said he would depend on me to try and help put this together in a way that is going to be in terms of behind the scenes, what you were saying, Commissioner Hill, about being prepared for the meeting. So I would recommend if the authority wants to have a meeting like that, a workshop, that we have more than just Ted here. Even if it's by Zoom, it's fine. That we have either Amy, people with authority that are going to be the next step, be the actual ones that say yes or no, but more than just you having to take the message. That would be ideal. And then I can email, um, if there are, I guess I'll invite over the next week commissioners to email me. Maybe there's some items I'm not thinking that are on your mind that you say are disputed. If you would do that in the next week, and then I can also send a request to Ted and Amy, and they can share with their folks anything that you all have. Plus, everything that I get from the commissioners is public record. So I'm happy to forward those things before we get to the meeting. We'll set up an agenda. We'll have backup documents in the term of agreements. Hopefully, uh, attorneys, we will have an opportunity or be familiar with the sections of the agreement. Like in Amy's letter, she highlights in yellow some of the agreement sections and things like that. So if we could come that prepared, we might be able to get some.
We should. Full comments.
No, I'm open to it. I mean, reconciliation would be, a great thing, and put some of this stuff behind us one way or another, and put it behind me forward. So I think they're all in there.
Sure.
That was all.
That's good. Account report here.
I have the treasurer's report for September. So this is the final report out of the year, starting the new budget in October, on October 1st. So like I said, this is the final report. At the top. So we're looking through it. Obviously, the first thing, so we're busy kind of trying to finalize the books for the year. The auditors will be here this week, November 10th. It's either on-site visit. So that's what we're getting these things for make sure they have all books for the reconciled and everything ready for that to make to get their work done as quickly as possible. So, and then on the next page, you have the balances and checking accounts, which we made several big payments on October 1st, so that now makes pretty soon. Question.
What was the final number that was in the budget for each year? The dollar amount that they would, everything that
I sent it to you yet.
Yes,
You have,
I don't have it up there, sorry.
well, just tell me, just curious.
I'll have to email you. I don't have that number, so we made the changes. Budget's been signed off. I quickly. Sorry, I'm putting that. That's right. I thought.
Is there anything I just listened?
Yeah, I do have a final budget here, but I think this version is before you cut some of the, yeah, I don't have the one with the additional cuts.
What you did with the.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had it. I said, no, I thought I said it right.
Yeah, whatever. So
In the main fund, at the
14 for Jane.
yeah, that's coming. So plus another 5,000, October,
Total of that.
plus another $5,000 for October that should be coming in. Yeah, should be received recently. I checked the account today, but on September 30th, we had $14,000. And then I'll even receive 5,200 something, 5,000 something, per month. So, so 19,000.
Thank you. Tab 10, court operator reports. Ted.
Hi, guys. So you'll see on the event, you bring up, you'll see I changed the way we did it. It's kind of convoluted because I started noticing this. This is kind of the splash page we just put up. So I changed it to where this is probably what we do as far as products containers. And so I did far as products containers other. So we had a bit of a rebound in September, thank God. After really bad stuff, but you know, hats off to Travis and the team. You know, we seem to be back a bit. October shaping up to be really good as well. So yeah, we're back flowing again. We just had some hiccups. A lot of that was related to so seasonal shutdowns in mills, but really there was a lot of tear scare. Like I said, a lot of people moved some cargo in containers and kind of held back and wait and kind of a wait and see thing, but supply chains had to keep moving. So while the tariff, you know, the tariff situation is still present and still a thorn in our side, you know, time to get back moving. And so I'll get the names for the training. Any questions?
Yes. What is the shipments in
Someone's on?
because we know that you know about being
All right, 10B, facility for repair athletes, and you have an update or?
Yeah, so I was actually in the truck with Travis. They deciding was finished.
That's great.
So I think we've pretty much wrapped up most of the, yeah.
According to the discuss all from both commissioners, I'm not aware of anything that's not been completed. Commissioner Moore, Commissioner Nelson, and the siding was completed last week for all the 10 completely down, warehouse one. I say completely down, it's not down to the very north end, we just did the sheets that were actually on, that were really in dispute. That is done, the railing has been completed, so as well as being painted and put reflection tape on there to have more of the lights off the footlight, the blue lights hitting that and bringing attention to them. There's a couple other things off record as far as putting tie down, hurricane tie downs on the main guard shack that's been completed. Air conditioner in the interchange guard shack, the lights situation has all been repaired. Most of that was photocell, just what type of timing on that, those lights. I'm trying to think. Top off, I think everything that y'all both included has been taken care of as of today.
And then I would add that we are in the process of strapping the quad. And then, you know, you'll notice there's some ugly old structure down at the north end of the tunnel. The reason it's haven't moved yet is because they're taking them all in one swoop of the strappers to the house.
And just an update on that, the taking down the flag was supposed to start last week due to the weather and the winds. It was just over and over to do that. We're ready to turn it north and south with the boom hanging north and ready to drop the boom down. We do have to move the crane
further to the middle of the dock, past the stevedore office. We have to remove the counterweight first, and take the boom off. So we have to do that, and with them torching, we want to get away from the south end where truck docks were, along with our lumber shed. You get past the stevedore building, that it's more of a safe action. That is supposed to happen next week because of the weather. We have ships coming in now, so it's gonna start happening hopefully next week. We'll start pushing ships back out. We have one that's supposed to start on Friday. Due to weather, it might fall on Saturday or Sunday. Once that vessel leaves, we do have a window there. Hopefully we can get Solomon back in and start finishing tearing that crank. Any other questions as far as the facilities?
Moving forward, what vehicle would you like to see the commissioners and open employees utilize to manage the vacancies that you have out?
As in the past, if you want to send them to Ms. Rosanna, and she's been good about communicating that with me, I can answer her back or distribute text to you, and that works fine for me. I mean, if that's okay with the board.
That's great, thank you.
Any update on the mural going on there?
I did get an update, but I don't have the authority to approve anything, so I could share a picture of what the initial, artist sent the initial rendering.
The like shrimp thing or something?
It's colors.
Oh,
But what we came back with, frankly, it was beautiful, but it didn't really pay any tribute to the activities of the board and Fourth Street and what we can. So I asked him to somehow incorporate, what I like about this, the artist, is kind of off legends.
Thanks, no, keep on.
Yeah. What I like about this artist was that he does, he pictures the log trucks and infrastructure in a beautiful way, so, I hope he might put some of that in there, but so far it's just pelicans, and they're kind of. I mean, actually, I did send it to Rosanna to project because I asked to tweak it, but I'm not sure.
maybe we can, any chance it's done by Christmas, I can get a Christmas card picture for the team.
The trick is fun.
Ted, new business report?
Yeah, so, I emailed this out, to Rosanna, yeah, it's public now, so. It looks like we're gonna have another container service. We're gonna start slow with them. It's called Green Tide. If you Google, right now they're service from Mexico to Philly. And, for me, and set form. So this is one that really hard, with my team, to kind of get this away from Jacksonville, Savannah, Brunswick, other places. It's a lot of back and forth, but I think we're there. Again, we're gonna start slow. It's short city. I think it fits well with what we can do with our capability. And yeah, so I hope we get our first call. Honestly, it's probably going to be December. We get our first call, so we're excited about that. We're also looking at some Brazilian wood pulp. So there's probably four big players down here. The biggest is Suzano. They're staying away from them because they're space eater. There's a couple more, and one right now, I feel gun in my head, I would say 65% right now that we get them in. It'll be a huge load for the port. I love wood pulp, it's my favorite cargo, because of the storage density. And so, we're working together as well. I feel really good about those two. Those two combined will be a game changer. And what's really cool about this is there's a good chance that the container line, because of Mexico, could re-export some of this wood pulp. Because Mexico really doesn't have break bulk terminals yet. They're set up more for containers. And so they have to ship it. It doesn't, and then Brazil is set up to export pulp via break bulk pulp. They build these massive terminals where unit trains go straight from the mills to a port. The port has no containers. It's a huge warehouse made to load wood pulp. So, I mean, that's like the dream, right? Like we would, bring in something warehouse it and re-export it via container. It's just, logistically, it's like 10 out of 10. So anyway, I'm pretty excited about that. Also, I think y'all know we presented Great Wall Americas last week. We had a booth there, big investment for us. It was really good. There are thousands of professionals in our industry that come there. We had a lot of good booth traffic. Y'all all met the Jane. You know, I've never met a person that doesn't like the game. She was the queen of the booth, and she did really well. Had a lot of great meetings. And that's actually where we kind of eat the container booth. So it was a really good trip. Met a lot of colleagues, made a lot of connections, and yeah, hopefully it bears fruit. Any questions?
How many dollars you anticipate? Once the room.
Yeah, so it would probably, you're gonna start with a monthly, so it would add one per month, but the goal is to get it every 2 weeks. Kind of like Summer's Olives now, but they would be quick in and quick out. They wouldn't be, Summer's Olives, very different. They stick around for a variety of reasons.
And that's 45 months contract.
Right now we have a 1 year contract, with the ramp up period. So, hopefully we get it off the ground. I'm a little worried on the train, but that's, baby steps, right?
Are they gonna use the ship's gear to work it? Or are they gonna ask you to supply?
So the vessel instead of the ship's gear is, I believe, it's the Whale Orca. Isn't that the one they? Right. That's the one they chartered long term. So we have the ability, but as you know, Commissioner Nelson, use ship's gear containers. It's exceedingly slow. So we'll be using the container cranes with the local harbor cranes that back up.
But will save the cost. Sometimes they require their vessel from each other. Is that this case?
There's not, they won't be quick in and quick out.
We are gonna do the job.
So currently, when is this from?
What,
Do we know which ports they use, like, is their port before?
this is a brand new venture, yeah. So the guy who's heading it up, I actually worked with him back in the day with Metro, when he was doing moving Windland. So that's how I knew him. So the good connection.
Yeah, it looks like they've had, route between Mexico and Philadelphia.
Yeah, right now they're running Mexico up. Yeah,
So this would be in addition to the Philadelphia.
correct. Yeah, we're the second one.
Thank you. Very much for these items. Anything else? Go down tab, old business, tab 11A. Ballard Warehouse, we do have a speaker card for that, Mr. Bob Archer.
I'm sorry, I have one more thing about that service. So are most of the containers going to be trucked out? What will be the impact on? Truck, are they gonna tell me how it offload and impact on?
Yeah, so they would, we're gonna offer some stripping and stuffing on the board. We'll see how it goes first. Yeah, they'll move and not just sit some solid kind of thing. But I anticipate the flow won't be like Summer's Isle. Summer's Isle does it really quick rushes because they sometimes stuff on demand. This will be a little bit more planned, so what I'm told is we can batch it in instead of these big flows. And they seem to go more.
Offer, excuse me, offer the four more folks who I might be putting it also for the partner. I'm really curious to see a survey. So like commission with the one warehouse, the fabric warehouse, and the one that's being moved from behind the pool house is the same length as the one that's already there. That's coming to the west.
It is.
It looked that way to me.
Yes, it is. Same.
And they are gonna be next to each other.
They are. That's the plan. That is what we've applied, for through the permit process that we were asked to do. So that is in process.
All right, I have one more point, and that is, I want to remind relay terminals that the neighbors are gonna be real interested in any required power suppression being installed because this is of proximity to the storage system. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe that'll come up during the process, during the process. Whether that was very precise, damage.
Fine.
Clarification.
No,
So. You can take them somewhere, or you want to email, residents reaching out.
So it was a bunch of back and forth. We were dealing with Glenn, you know him, the city. Okay, so then,
I think he's the new project manager, maybe?
so then they referred us to Sylvie, and at 4:44 p.m. today, she sent over the link upload, to start the application process. And so if we can, once we receive the application, all necessary documents were received by tomorrow, we will then add the project review request to the next available TRC agenda, which should be October 23rd, 2025. So and the only reason we got this today is we hadn't heard anything in a couple of days from Glenn. And so I instructed Patrick Savage, I said, hey, just start having people, don't wait. And so he did, and this is what came up actually today, and they handed it off, and so now it looks like we have a portal. I'll call Patrick tomorrow and say, hey, let's just get this done by lunch. Get it uploaded.
And when she says to do, get your documents in tomorrow, it may mean that if you don't, you will not get on the agenda.
It's every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So then if it doesn't happen October 23rd, it's 2 weeks later.
We're gonna go to any questions. Good. Moving forward with the process. You can get this,
And as soon as I get updates, it will be sitting on Roseanne and will be distributed. So
well, thank you.
crystal clear, transparent. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, I emailed this out, so, and I think Richard will back me up here. So in my correspondence with Big Top, I don't have time to call everybody, so, that's the problem with the emails. We had our wires twisted, so he said, hey, there's no additional cost to do one side of the color. I said, oh, great. Then he clarified later on, well, that's if you replace the cover. I was going to use the old cover. So the bottom line is for us to do that two-tone color, it's going to be another $85,000. To keep it white is not required. And again, I emailed Commissioner Hildes. This is not me doing a rug pull. This is not trying to be devious or whatever you're gonna call it. It was an honest mistake, and as soon as I uncovered it, I put it out. So happy to discuss it now, or we can discuss it after the permit process is more fun.
Okay, well, when we discussed it at the prior meeting and the board approved it, we talked about the cost and we talked about the color in a public meeting. And my email back to you was not to say that you're being devious at all. It was just, I'm sorry that the intent is true. It's just that when we have discussions in public meetings and things like the color of the material to all these sections, especially in both names, which I know this is not the basis of how we make operational decisions at the board, which the board have to make pragmatic decisions. But what we were told at that meeting was that there was no additional cost to changing the color. So that was a positive, that was a win received from the neighbors, and it was a basis for my vote in favor. And so I didn't feel like just making that change in email was sufficient. I thought should at least be brought up to the board for consensus, I would think, to make sure that the board members don't see that as a material deviation from what was initially discussed.
Yeah, I don't recall the exact vote. Again, I felt like the vote was, we voted on location first, because that's what would drive the permit cost, but I don't wanna get my leads on it either.
And the permitting was a big issue. The, with the, again, keep like a minutes and see what the vote was, specifically, 24 was, the color was on. With the new, with this location, I don't know if it's, in my opinion, I don't know if that it's necessary. I know that the other location was mostly necessary to kind of block the glare, and sun from the residents there. But again, we have to go back and look and see what that vote is. Um, and then go from there.
If you give me a minute, I'll put it up. The 24th, the meeting on the 24th. I think it was last meeting. One moment, give me a minute.
Yeah, and, in that discussion, one of the things I asked for was just when we were approving the location, I wanted to see what was being requested from you all, because you have the engineers, you have the technical expertise, what you're trying to propose, you're working with Big Top directly. Yeah, we would have to call out them, take their time to come up with ranges. And so what I asked in the meeting is that, we could see an elevation of what it would look like whenever we're approving things like buildings in locations. And I said this distinctly in minutes, that whatever you're submitting for a permit, like that level of detail, just so there's no misunderstanding, because this has been going on long, clearly it's covered in the newspaper, and it's discussed at every meeting, so if we can have a rendering now, great. And then what followed that meeting was a bunch of emails from you, where you asked OPA, you asked Rosanna to give you a rendering of the location.
No, I asked Roseanne to give me a rendering of location in the northeast corner, because the rendering that was given me and showed her the need one.
Okay, well, our minutes are on the website,
Okay.
and members of the public pull those minutes, and they showed us what we approved.
Mhm.
And they show us the roof packets, and it's the same picture that was projected in the meeting, with those two warehouses in the northeast corner that are north, south, vertical, like this on the
Right.
site. And it's the same picture, so the two smaller warehouses, that's the only rendering we never got detailed to scale of a larger warehouse in location in this book. And that's the reason why we ended up in
Yeah.
this situation, is that there was a sidebar conversation between your predecessor and others, and he made the decision to move the location. That, right?
Right.
So,
Just,
moving on. The color, if it's $80,000, $86,000, that wasn't what was presented to us. You said it was the same price, so that's why I was like, this would be great. I would love the.
I know.
Great.
and I agree, a rendering, like, if that's what you want, like, I'll give it to you. I just want to make sure we're not gonna hit some huge snag with the city and permit, like, what if they just deny it? Man, I just spent probably $5,000 doing a rendering for no reason. So, I mean, are you okay with that? And we sit over, like, what is TRC doing?
Technical Review Committee.
So,
So they review, their purpose is to review the site. And whatever details you have about the building, and
Okay.
in that meeting, they also provide, they can do behind the scenes too, like when your application goes in, you may get comments back before the hearing.
Okay.
From staff.
yeah, I mean, I'd like to get through the TRC, and then I got no problem with we'll have to do it anyway for.
And that process will also confirm what's required from prior. So I think you're fine.
Okay. Thank you.
So I just want to make sure too, that it's the vote stands, the location or what they're proposing for the new location is, at least for now, acceptable for them to, for the operator to move forward.
Sports, well.
That's how I'm reading it too. I just want to make sure.
Regarding the color, I told them how you got up here, but,
Yeah, so Orchard Road on board, they incorporate it.
so how do we, this is the-
And now, since we've done that vote, I hate to bring this up. But we've submitted our bills for reimbursement and they've been denied. Like this whole process of going back and forth with the city, with the permits, with your lawyer that you hired, with an agent authorization for permitting, cost us $18,000 legal fees. And there was an understanding at the time those fees would be reimbursed. We were asked to join with you to obtain the variance and to also give over a buffer. We were advised by all of our advisors that a buffer on our property is valuable and that we should not encumber our property for nothing. But that has a significant value to it. And so instead we said, this is not a solution. A buffer on open property is not an acceptable solution for the warehouse back was. And so now Amy Bolson has denied $18,000 reimbursement. So that's not a partnership. Like you waited until you got a vote that approved the location for it. And then we got a letter from her saying, we're not.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear, like, that didn't come in my direction. I didn't come get a vote from you and then backdoor deny a claim for reimbursement. That's
Okay, well, that
not,
was just the timing, it's unfortunate.
And that may be something too, if I might, Mr. Chair, that we should address up in that at the workshop is we have no idea. We know that you have an attorney, right? And
Right.
for them, I mean,
I literally haven't spoken to him since then.
that's important for us to know because as far as we know, she's just in touch with you and you with her as I am with this board. And there's nothing that happens
No.
here, vice versa. And if that's not the case, let's get into it a little bit more so we know what to expect. I mean, we get that it's a big company, right? And she works for the company, and this is just one of your ports, but it would be helpful to know. So when you're saying something and then a week later we get a letter,
Yeah, so if you were coming to board with the city of Bernardino to do your development on your own property, let's say you own the city. You would come from the city and you would have a development agreement that the city is also party to, that any HOAs are also party to, and where you would pay fees for the administrative costs related to that application. We should not be forced to take on that or to cut all of our administrative costs to fund all of the costs of receiving this and dealing with this issue when it was purely created on the other side of the table. We did not create this problem. It's costing us, it already cost us $18,000. And I, for one, don't think we should do that. I don't think that we should approve it. If we were a city, we wouldn't be able to approve it because we would have to look to taxpayers and say, we are giving away taxpayer money to help fund this developer to keep moving efficient things. So, and that's not against you, that's just, it just doesn't make sense
Yeah,
financially.
okay, yeah, I could,
This whole thing, I keep going back to, how did this start? How did we get these, how did this whole thing start? And it started, electronic, for putting the warehouse in a location that was not authorized by the commission. That's it. That's what started.
I agree.
And now we're being asked to encumber $18,000 to pay for an attorney. We needed to protect our interest because the warehouse was in the wrong damn location. And that's not right. It's not.
I think we all agree. I think that's, we, we beat that, because it's, I mean, we get it, I know I was in the test time here, it isn't bullshit. Again, the goal is we need to move the warehouse regardless. And we need to address these other disputes, these other issues, which is what we're doing. Weeks.
Can we fix the location and fix the prior action the board took so that it's clear you can apply for a permit with the city? I don't want to stop the process and applying for a permit. And move forward with that process, but so I think we get a commitment from Relay that these fees are going to be reimbursed before we do anything else. I mean, in my view, I don't think that Tammy should be spending time on craft letters to explain this to Amy, that this is, every hour you spend is $300 coming out of Oak's budget, but we don't have budget. Every hour you spend on this, every hour Roseanne's been on it this time, you don't have budget.
So why don't you let me clearly, like, I'm not connected as I should be, to my new council. So why don't you give this to me as an action item, try to tackle between now and next week? Is that fair?
And I mean,
Guys, I'm trying to, I realize like I'm being punished for the sins of others, but I've got to own, it, right? Like it's me. Like I'm the person who answers this, but I'm trying to come to solutions here, and I'm not trying to come with more roadblocks. Like that's just me talking. Is your opera. So that's my action item, and hold the minutes, so I will pass.
So we continue through this third process, apply that moving forward. Then we'll see the update of the next meeting.
I have two more, just real quick on the fabric warehouse, Mr. Chair. Did you get a copy of Amy's letter? Have you even seen that?
No.
Okay, so it's a public record. I can forward that to you. It didn't come via email. It came to my office in Clearwater via FedEx. We got it on Friday, October 2nd, and it's dated September 28th. So, and it's got all kinds of backup documents and stuff like that. So, that's one issue. I'll send you that letter. The other is that I haven't brought up here, but it also is an issue that we're going to have to tackle, and that is that OPA is the contracting party with Coast to Coast, the contractor that didn't pull a permit, and they want their money. They have been in touch with me and with Patrick. They want their over $100,000. Their attorney, John Tucker, contacted me. And so that's OPA's obligation. It doesn't matter what side agreement, well, it does for us to get reimbursed, but the contractor wants their money from us. So one of the things I was curious about is, did we get a bond at all with that contract? Generally, contracts under 200,000 don't have to have a bond, but if they're 200,000 or over, they must be bonded. So that's going forward. That's the Florida law. The reason I asked about a bond, do you know, Rosanna? Probably not, I'm guessing. Okay. A bond is an insurance policy that says that the contractor is going to complete the work in accordance with the contract. And the contract said they would pull permits. If we had a bond, I would be notifying the bondholder, and that insurance company comes in and makes sure that they do the right thing. If that's come in and fix it, or whatever. So if we don't have a bond, it's just an argument we make about breach of contract to the attorney. Yeah. So far, it's just been Patrick has put back in their face that there's an indemnification provision in the contract that says, wait a second, don't be looking for your money because we're going to be sending you bills to pay our costs for what we've been through. So.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to reiterate what Commissioner Moore said. If it would have been done right the first time, we wouldn't be discussing it. We would be moved on to something far more important. But now, wild down this again. And it looks like we're going down that same rabbit hole. Time constraints, not following through on things. I don't have time to do this and I don't have time to do that. That's unacceptable. To me, it just seems like stall tactics to me.
What am I stalling? let's just be honest, let's just talk.
I'm just telling you what I'm seeing, and when I go out, you know what's happening?
What do you mean that?
I mean, we just got some stuff going today. We've been discussing this for 4 weeks, 2 meetings at least.
We contacted the city the day after the last. They don't move fast, and we had to follow them to even get a response, and now we have a response.
There's, I've got email chain.
I mean,
Yeah. Oh, come on. I think. Yeah, keep your eyes looking at. But I mean, the email dialogue that I see has been since our last meeting, there's been actually where your team's been reaching out and seeing trying to find out what exactly they need. I don't, I mean, with everything now, I don't believe it's a stall tactic because you're essentially getting the location of the warehouse you want. So I don't see why it would be a stall tactic. But I just, I'm trying to get through this, get past all this, like we all are. It brings a level of frustration, all of us. And we just gotta get past it. We spend way too much time dealing with something like as simple as this that should just be we should be passing on. So I agree. Um, so as of right now, what are the next steps that we're looking for? So uh, you've agreed to talk to me or to take on action and to really kind of correct. And so
and I will, as soon as I leave this meeting, I will instruct Patrick, who works for me, to reset, upload the documents in the portal as instructed, 4:44 p.m. That's what I'll do. So then that leaves them all the permit process to move the building to the approved location. I don't know what else I can do.
and then the next question, so we're looking at the motion that incorporated the color. I don't know how we deal with that part of the motion strictly states here in minutes, Commissioner Hill moves to approve option 2, proposing the warehouse being adjacent to existing structure, contingent upon city permitting and incorporating the updated color. So the color,
That it's in the motion. I think the best and cleanest way to do it is to vote again, vote anew. It's gonna be one, right? I mean, there is no alternative. Or there's no,
You can change the color, it's just another
There's a-
$5,000. The old color goes to land.
yeah. So that is the best way to undo it, change it, is to vote again.
the action, if not, then we'll move forward. Any further comments, questions?
They're right now, they don't have authorization to apply for a permit.
I think they do with the
But they have-
alternative color. Yeah,
So. I would like to make a motion that the operator is authorized to use the warehouse to. There's proposed solution. With the existing cover for the warehouse. And the condition that they cover OPA's administrative costs and legal costs related to this. Mistake. But we should not come out of pocket. For all those expenses.
You're referring to the $18,000 outstanding receipt.
So to clarify, so your motion is to move it to the proposed location, of course, the continuing policy and permitting, and then get the existing color line, and in addition to covering Patrick's interiors.
Correct.
Good motion from Commissioner Hill.
I said all of our administrative costs, and I'm not talking just Patrick's. I mean, Tammy's.
yeah, since this is no longer a dispute with the city. Patrick and I and Miriam was involved in our email conversation is, I mean, I haven't done very much, but if there's more work to do, I'm not conflicted. If it's, if it's just between the operator and OPA in terms of location. But since I was involved in the conflict before, very briefly, that's why. So I'm not conflicted for moving forward.
So it was your office.
That includes Rosanna's time, as that goes.
Mr. Chairman, we've already voted on.
We had made a motion. Yeah.
Yeah,
Fair. We get this. Discuss. Which dies for lack of sight. You know,
We're out of money. Try to take it. So, thank you for the opportunity.
so if there's no discussion, then we'll continue on.
So
Before
the original motion stand.
yes.
the yes. Either involve permitting and before you go to default. Any further discussion?
Well, I'd like to talk about the hundred, or potentially $100,000.
Yeah.
Coast to coast demand for payment of the to and what are we going to do about that? We are the party that's listed as the party that has to pay here.
Mhm.
And that certainly is not an expense that we can incur. Isn't that right, Peter?
Sure.
And I assume that OPA hasn't paid the contractor anything. Or the operator hadn't paid the contractor anything.
Correct.
Okay,
I had to pay anything from last meeting.
Right, on the house, new house, the coin.
but they did get
The
some.
final payment, this is that final payment contract.
That's the 100,000.
Yeah.
What was the total contract amount? Can you remember?
For the million, right? Yeah, I think.
Okay,
So yes, this is only the final
okay,
thing.
that's helpful. Yeah.
So yeah. So
Well, it's helpful just because I'm thinking of myself already. I already know uh, that they're going to claim that they get there's a value to what they've screwed up, right? And we just have to come up with that. So we figure out whether we owe them anything or they owe us. So I'll look at that.
Was in the original contract, did it say anything about permitting and slaughtering?
Absolutely.
Contract?
Yes.
So basically, they're in default contract.
They screwed up enough to cause damages. Yes.
is why I'm paying the help.
Yeah.
They-
And the damages are way over 100,000. I mean, just that's what it feels like already.
So they should technically be taken.
Well, I guess we agree with the operator because they're incurring costs also. I mean, the operator has some responsibility, but the contractor, even if told by the project manager, the operator, no, go put it over there. And the fact that they didn't check with the city to see what the setbacks requirements were, that's on the contractor, in my opinion.
So the reason I'm just in line with the operator typically reimbursing those costs as they're incurred is that we don't have any revenue sources. We have given over all of our resources to government work to the operator with the exceptions of defined administrative fees. And so you don't have the cash flow borrowings say we need a working capital loan. The revenues are the operator. So if it doesn't, we don't have those revenues to touch. So that's why the operator typically covers those costs, is their local revenues.
Any other questions? So moving forward. To 11B. Administrative Office Manager Contract Renewal fiscal year 2025, 2026. Any comments, questions, action?
So this is the edited and reviewed contract.
It is.
Have you changed the severance agreement?
Yes, the severance, okay, so in the severance, that I did, that's the only portion that I wanted to make sure, because the base salary is the base salary. We discussed a bunch at the last meeting about if OPA were to give notice to Rosanna that you're terminated without any cause, that in lieu of notice 60 days or 30 days notice, pardon me, that we would pay 140 hours of time. And then the severance under the statutes, the maximum amount of severance is 20 weeks. Doesn't matter how long somebody's worked for us. Commissioner Hill had proposed 1 month for every year of service.
I was hoping.
Oh, you did 1 month. I'm sorry. 1 month for every year of service. So if we take a 2021, she was a part-time employee, right? It's a little over 4 years. That's a little over 16 weeks. But I put 20 in there as the maximum so that you all can talk with her about that here, but that is the absolute maximum.
So long as we don't have a budget.
Right, my comment is that obviously that severance could trigger with any change in his contract. And that was exactly the situation, there's no renewal provision in this contract, in other words, it automatically continues. Which means if you have to make a change in the budget year, which is exactly what happened with our full director, where we got done with paying 6 months worth of billing. So as I said, to me, this is we don't have a budget to do it. If we needed to make a change for whatever reason, again, whether it be a budget year change or during the year because of monetary issues, this contract locks us into a 6 month severance, essentially, on top of, say, which would
Could you scroll up just a little bit? I think at the last meeting, you said that PTO is looking for that last line.
right, that is the other, and so on top of severance is that the payout for unused holiday. So yeah, at least 6 months worth of severance. But
No, that was supposed to be.
I didn't pick up on that it was use it or lose it. So
we have to confirm
there is no,
that the employee can come.
yes, yes.
So this is a salary position. So there's no need for since this year under annual salary monthly. Yeah, it's that for an overtime provision this time. So
And I know the search for employment language, you get like a lot of suggested terms, but they don't all necessarily like apply to the situation. And these amendments are already gonna give you a lot more days off, which is good. And I hope the salary is what you want. But the severance is an issue because if you, I don't foresee that we would terminate you without cause. I don't see that happening. But if paid time off, if PTO is accruing and then paid off, and then there's also this 20 weeks, we wouldn't be able to pay the new person. We don't even budget, we barely make a budget for 1%.
So I'm hearing so far, and I'm now you can approve with these changes and then your options tonight are if we have some changes like this that are articulated and agreed to, then we can take a motion and approve the contract with the articulated changes. I will go ahead and just put it on the next agenda in its final form so that everybody sees what the contract is, but you won't have to vote on it. But we certainly could bring it back up as a reconsideration if there was a problem.
And I'll just bring up one more thing, just got that idea down. I don't expect you, Rosanna, to negotiate your salary or your lease terms, whatever you need. But one thing that I would suggest considering is a longer notice period, because typically what happens when, let's say there's a new board on here and you kind of get crossways, and they say, go on out. The notice provision would say they have to give you 60 days notice. And that's what I was offering, 60 days red line. And usually what happens when boards really ticked off with you, they don't want to work with you, right? So they're
Right.
saying, we're gonna give you your 60 days in lieu of notice for telling tonight. And we're gonna pay you the 60 days in lieu of. And so that when she, is again, that has to be budgeted
So, yeah, I would recommend.
30 days.
No, so yeah, that's for unemployment. You know,
Tell us if we can afford, and it's also fair.
was, you know, so, I would just say that there needs to be an annual renewal contract. In other words, if the board changes, it shouldn't trigger, in other words, annually, this contract, you renew. In other words, should be at the point of the board. It's not an automatic renewal, which then triggers the provisions of severance, right? Which is again, exactly that thing. And that's what we don't want. So we need some kind of mechanism in this contract that requires it to a continuation, a review, a formal vote from the board, whatever, to say yes. So 26, 27, it's fair to continues as is. That's my opinion.
So at the end of the year, it would renew on a month to month basis.
All right.
If it's,
No.
if it's, is that,
So I'll think there's a provision for involuntary or termination, ending fine, that's during the year, but ending the, once the new board takes over, the contract needs to be renewed. Just like we do with the lawyer, just like we do with my contract, because it said on the first meeting of the year, again, this contract gets renewed or does not. And that does not trigger any provisions, so much. It's just that, yes.
I have a 5-year contract, but I welcome discussion as often as necessary. Yeah. So I don't know what, may I, I'm sorry, Commissioner Moore.
No, so basically it'll be one conference. And then at the beginning of the next year, whoever the commission is at that time, they could review the contract and determine if they want to extend it or another year.
And I never reviewed David Kaufman's contract and why you were in that, I haven't had a chance, but I do have a lot of experience with contracts and I have much respect for Pierre, of course. You can have a contract that renews or is a certain term or automatically renews, as long as you write in the correct the correct verbiage for if you're terminated, because yeah, I mean, that was the contract that I had with the city too, and it didn't make it, yeah. So it was very set what happens with termination for cause or termination without cause. And the biggest thing with this is the outstanding liability for 20 weeks of severance. And then I know for Pierre too, even 2 months. But you do have to be fair, I think, and consider taking a little risk so that you can keep a good employee. So it's up to you. I think that every one of your professional staff should be evaluated every year. And if you do a contract renewal, unless we write something different every year, the problem with that, and it's different for Pierre and I, because we get paid an hourly fee or a monthly rate or whatever it is. And you could tell us to go at any point and you have to pay us for the time up to that. With an employee, and she is being paid as an employee, not an independent contractor, but an exempt employee. If you just have her contract up for renewal, well, I guess the OPA commission doesn't have to renew it. And then she's left with nothing other than see ya. Here's, 'cause at that point, you just renew a contract, you don't have to give notice. You could just say at that meeting, don't come back tomorrow. So, I mean, that's something to consider. I think we can write provisions in here that if you do have her with this contract, that you're not gonna have to pay. I mean, you could write it that you don't pay anything. I don't know that she would accept that, including short notice without payment.
Just for the sake of clarification,
No,
could we make her a contract employee?
yeah, of course you can. Of course you can, but the thing is that that saves us costs because we pay the employer taxes and all of that, but that's not, for the employee, that stinks because then they have to pay. So that changes the game.
So we get these for come back maybe Monday, I didn't really have a chance to do the back, but are you gonna make updates and then?
Yes, so the updates are the PTOs, use it or lose it. You don't get paid any PTO when you leave the employer report. No severance. And then a 60-day notice with a payment in lieu.
I mean, I don't think you have to spell that out, I think you just 6 days notice is required and to strike policies that. Or, I'll just.
You don't think we should say payment in lieu?
I mean, if you have a notice requirement.
Yeah, they have their own titles.
Spell out what you're doing.
Okay.
Because the way it's written now, it almost reads as if you have to do both.
Yeah.
It says the employer will provide 30 days with notice, and then it says the employer will provide payment.
Okay.
So it doesn't make sense.
Okay. Anything else?
And yeah, maybe once you send back the red lines, I'll take a closer look.
Okay.
And when it's renewal, you, and if you decide not to renew the contract, that triggers the 60-day provision. That's fine. That's fine. But again, I think it's important that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that all contracts should be reviewed on a yearly basis. One contract, any other contracts. I think it's just too big in practice to look at every contract we have to be aware of the contracts that we're committed to, what we're committed to, the contracts that you are.
Mm-hmm.
Great, so, Tammy, you want to make these changes and bring it back to us, and we'll.
So the ones I articulated about PTO, severance, and notice, those are the only ones I'm making so far.
Yes, if somebody else has a suggestions.
Okay.
Sure. Tab 11C, the CDP facility project, with the replacement for Commissioner Moore, to really head that up. We have any volunteers? We'll start there.
Yeah, I mean, I can have to do it, unless someone else is eager.
Sure.
I've sat in on a couple of those meetings already, so, and I've talked with, Jim, your previous systems. Congratulations. Are you like, congratulations? Yeah.
And Commissioner Bell, we were proposing on make sure that you have all the background picture for that. Just so you know, the thing that's following up right now, so is the statement of work. There was a draft a couple of years ago that needed to be reworked. Modifying and expanding the scope of it, I'll make sure that the advantages of it.
Yeah, and Commissioner Hill, I think it's time for, like, I'd like to sort of, one way or another, move this project along. Our ownership has some questions, and, I think we don't need to do now, just, what would the alternatives have been while it's picked? What's the length, like, what's the time frame going to be, what's the cash outlay, what's a good number? How can we stretch people and, work with Davis to see what else we can sort of grab up there. The last thing I want is to sort of go to negative territory. We just want to be a little more proactive on it, and because it's kind of staring us all in the face, and I don't see the miracles coming to save us. So we need to sort of be a little more proactive on this. Speaking for myself.
And,
Was that, that 2018 agreement?
I'll just recommend it since you referenced cash and other work that's been, just been going on for grants and appropriations. I can tell you, I had, and I'm sure others have as well, several conversations with Representative Dean Blacks, and the Arbor, which I was just here a few weeks ago. This is something that I'm sure they're eager to jump on to get additional funding. So they secure $300,000 for the project. I'm sure if we went back to them, they would jump on board to try to secure more, ask for more of that. I know this is something very exciting. So I'm going to keep that in mind.
I just want to point out that, until we know about terminal of Fernandina, entered into an agreement with CDC to provide a facility for, with ORPM net funding, doing spending service, which is back into the for one. And that facility to be provided cost free to CDP. Once this agreement is there, then obviously that's going to be participation in the board, but I believe what happened at that point, OPA and commission took steps to obtain grant money and things like that related to the project to defray the cost in the agreement that Will Sherman's has made. So I believe that OPA has fulfilled its responsibility to assist in trying to defray at least 50% of the cost. Worldwide Terminal was entered into an agreement in 2018 to pay for it.
Yeah, and when you sent it to me, first time I've ever seen it. And yeah, first time a lot of people leave that for them.
I just found it by looking through this was actually an attachment to different document.
Yeah,
As I was looking through it, it's a hey, look at that.
yeah, it was a shocking as well. So,
So what I would suggest, if you want to be proactive, is to go to Jacksonville and to meet with Jennifer Bradshaw in person, see the facility that USCD shares with the Coast Guard, because I think that might give us ideas as to how we might co-locate their folks with some other federal folks, maybe could be. And if that doesn't, if that's not workable, then we don't go that route. But at least we would go to her, and show goodwill and proaction.
okay.
And I think we need to be very, aggressive with, federal lobbying and then state lobbying for more funding for the facility because Customs doesn't have their own budget. And so we need to be looking into every single possible resolutions. And if there's a possibility to go for federal dollars, we should do that. Jennifer's, she's a very pragmatic, smart woman, and she will tell you exactly what the track record is, the history and the constraints, and she has acknowledged multiple times that they have their full list of requirements, and maybe not all of them, are feasible. And they will work with us reasonably, but we have also been very slow to do anything. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah, and I tried to call, I remember the CUP,
They want no good at all.
and they did not want to talk.
No.
And it was not, I wasn't trying to hide anything from y'all. I just wanted to say, like, hey, like, I'm Ted, like, give me some background on this, and that didn't work. So,
Nice try.
is that funny?
It was because I don't know, it's just, hi, I'm Ted. I just thought I'd hang up on him too.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
Thank you, Commissioner Moore, for your research.
Should we send that?
Yes.
Thank you. Now 11B, absent agreement, new rates, we have in front of us, rate schedule August 27th, 2025 dates.
I don't think it's anything that's going to be shocking. There are different based on, I think, Acton coming in and working on the PIDP grant, there were some classifications of employees and their rates that they needed to add. And so they did. And remember, this is an ongoing, continuing contract. So nothing's been changed. There's new classifications added and with their hourly rates. So we recommend approval by vote. And then what I would like to do is I want to start proceeding when we have votes and we have a document that OPA's approving. I think it's probably best practice that we do a resolution every single time. So if you're in a corporation, right, you should do corporate resolutions when you take votes too. And we should do the same. We should do the same. I think that because we're on a very limited budget, we have the forms though, and I'm not putting this on yours, I'm saying that I'm happy to do it because I have the forms. It takes 5 minutes to put this into a resolution and it ends up in our files. So I will bring one back, not necessarily that you have to vote on. If you vote tonight, it will just, again, like Rosanna's agreement, it'll be on there and I'll say no action needed, but it'll go in the books as a resolution. Updating and contract to these additional rates.
So in regard to this afternoon, jump to mine. You would need a resolution and then
But just a vote, if you're willing to approve it, just a motion to approve these additional rates. And then I'll have a resolution number on the next agenda. It doesn't hurt to vote on it, but you don't really have to.
right. That we have you run work schedule. And
Second.
Second, Commissioner Hilton. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
And Danny, our resolutions have to have reference to the specific goal that the resolution or the action is advancing under the new special district
Rules. The new babysitting rules. Okay. Thank you.
Staff 12 goals, realist of the property, 32 North Third Street. And so Commissioner Cole, add this if you didn't.
yes, it did. Well, it was only in following the last vote that we had. This morning voted for utility to sell the property. We agreed that, we voted that they did not want to review the contract with, Philip, Joe Griffin and his company. And so what do we do from them? Where do we go?
So this property voting on that one to sell the property.
It's already voted to sell the property.
So there was something here to the question of this.
We have to relist it in some way. Listen, I made the motion, not me, the motion that we relisted at the original price that we had agreed to with Phil River. And I don't know what happened with that. And we didn't have a second or what. So again, we just have to have an answer. We've got to move forward. We need to do something with this. So there are the board to sell.
But with the listing agreement, and Tammy Kirby.
Yes.
The wrong.
I have the resolutions too that were passed in 2024.
So looking for the rate outs, and then those decisions that we are fully not to extend the listing realistically. That at that point, then it no longer is for sale, or it's no longer sale. The deal wasn't going back up again, correct? I mean, to me, right now, it's happens like you're voting on the opposite side.
Well, that's too late. This all happened in 2024. I'll tell you what we have. We have two resolutions. One is 2024-R07, and that resolution, OPA will oversee the sale of OPA property. And any such sale of the property will be conditioned upon covenants and restrictions. In other words, if the property is sold, there'll be deed restrictions on it. So I'm not reading that to say that you all have to sell the property, but that you would oversee the sale. That's the wording. And then the other resolution talks about how the money is to be allocated. Should the property sell, you collect the revenue, how OPA plans to. So, I mean, I don't think you have to. It might be a good idea to make a statement or a motion or something about what you all want to do, but you're not bound to sell it or relist it, I don't think.
We need to rescind that resolution or
No, if you sell it, you're overseeing. I mean, I read it like 10 times and it seems to me that it's a cogent argument to say it's overseeing the sale, not that you all have decided that you must and will. Right.
may.
It doesn't even say may sell, it says will oversee the sale. And I'm sure there are other lawyers out there that would say, oh no, that means the sale and it's oversee the sale. But I mean, I think that you can go either way.
Would a voting,
I think a motion would put and discussion would put it to bed about where you all want to go. So it doesn't keep coming up or it keeps coming up for the sale.
what specific wording would need to be in the motion?
What specific wording?
Just to rescind the.
What are you, and that's okay to say, are you saying you don't want to, or you do, and then I can help you with the word.
Not so.
Not sell it, just like take it off the market, or it is off the market, but then I would say that I make a motion that we do not sell the property and do not list the property.
Because I make a motion that we do not sell the property. That was.
It doesn't feel Commissioner Moore, the second by Commissioner Hill, any further discussion?
Yes, this board voted to sell property. End of story. You don't just keep bringing it up every other month because you didn't get your way. We voted to sell it. We had numerous discussions. We had in-depth discussions. We beat this dog to death. And it finally came to a vote that we voted to sell the property. Now, there is question, what we do with the money? Yeah, we will do our due diligence when it comes with that. We will do our due diligence when it comes available that somebody offers, makes an offer. We'll say, no, we got to do this, we have to do that. All those things would come into play when that comes about. But to say that we don't want to sell it now, we're going to change our minds. That's not what this board had voted for. It's saying.
Based on, again, I'm sure to clarify what the resolution was, and that's where this really just cleans it up. So,
Future holder, that's directed to you, directed to the board. I think we did our due diligence to try to sell it. We listed it for 6 months. We entertained the offer. We got one that wasn't sufficient to our needs, so we, in good faith, we tried to sell. We couldn't find any buyer willing to pay our asking price. I think at this point, instead of letting this hang there and linger, I think that's the lead.
and I will add, so we made a decision a few months ago to explore the idea with Nassau County regarding the Front Street property. There has been an appraisal formed on the property. I had a conversation this week with our manager to really discuss those next steps and whether or not what the options are. Well, it'd be, at that point, then two boards will make a decision. So there's still that opportunity out there regarding a piece of property. So it's again still aligned with a possible revenue opportunity. It could look like an outright sale, depending on the direction they really choose to go. And what we work out, what we agree with them. So yeah, I think this really the motion, it cleans up, just so we're all on the same page, that right now, I'm not going to sell this specific property. Uh, But, yeah, I don't know, if there's any further discussion or comments.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a comment. If we're not willing to sell one, we're not willing to sell any. And I don't care if the county wants it or they would love to have it. We have to be steadfast in our decisions. I agree with Commissioner Cole. We voted as a board whether to sell or not sell that property. 3-2 vote to sell. It needs to be sold, it needs to be relisted, and how somebody can connect, whether listing it or not listing it, determines whether we're going to sell it or not. The man said that he would relist it for us, but he recommended that we come off, I believe, the 850,000 down to 750,000, because that's what the market bought. Correct. I mean, we sit here and we go back over the same. It's not like we don't have things in the present to take care of. We do. We had made a decision, a conscious decision, and I will say, Commissioner Cole, we had months and months and months of discussion on this. And here we're right back and saying, well, you know what, we'll just make a motion and we'll clean this off the slate. It's not the way I understand it works. Correct. The board took definitive action to sell that property. And because it did sell in the amount of time that was allotted, oh, it automatically comes off and we're not selling. I disagree with that.
As a property owner, I mean, that's your right. That's your right. It doesn't sell within a certain period of time, and, you talk to the broker. They negotiate with you, they work out, the term moving forward. You have the right to decide not to relist it, and that was the decision that we made. My personal property, so I'm gonna sell it. I list the property, and after 6 months, it doesn't sell. You know what? I'm gonna hang on to it a little bit longer. That's what we're sort of looking for this property. So it didn't work out, and then the decision was made not to relist it. So I'm missing something here.
I don't think it's been made yet. I think we're just now coming to a complete in the discussion where, you know what, let's just get this out of our way, make another motion, we don't sell it, and we'll vote on it. I disagree.
I'll tell you why I put against selling property again, even though I said 3 times. Said not harder. If you look at any of our industrial neighbors, it's I was just at the court this week where we were trying to figure out how to resolve the queuing issue and Spanish, a study that's funded by FDOT, which I hope to tell you about later. But the main issue is that the trucks are parking adjacent to homes. And so we need to find places for trucks to park where there is a vacant lot or there isn't a home right there. So parking trucks up by West Rock. Because West Rock is actually bought several lots and taking homes off of them and just left the residential lot empty. So that when a truck is parked there, they don't get to the phone calls. And those are bumpers that industrial landowners see a value in, even if they don't see a payment on a ledger. That is an intangible, that is an incredible value to an industrial landowner to own and control the land that's across the street. And if we have a smaller footprint, we have less control. And so I would never advocate for selling that land. I'm glad you brought up there's progress with fire department. I would, in that case, be consistent with my position. They're not making any more land, nobody's referring revenue. I would be very much in favor of the lease. I'm not the eyeball on that. I would be very much in favor of the lease. If OPA is gonna be adding value to the community, to the citizens, as an economic engine, we shouldn't be selling land that contributes to the existing operation of the port by providing us value workers in a historic district where we have so much friction with our neighbors.
I think we've established that the footprint of the port is the restricted area, which consists of approximately 11 acres. We can't go outside of that. And I would say on the side of the operator, That piece of property on Front Street that's being looked at to put a rescue boat, facility there is gonna hinder him. He gets additional work. You don't have any place to park people. Because I can tell you, we've had ships there where we had that completely full and you could hardly get down on Second Street because we were parked on the sides of the road. And that created a problem in the city. So it's one or the other. You have to make up your mind what you want to do. If you want to run a pool, on, assist the county with fire, boat facility. Uh, in my opinion, our responsibility is making sure the welfare of the board is taken care of.
Generate as an economic engine, it doesn't look.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion to not to set the amounts. Commissioner Warren, second, Commissioner Hill. All those in favor? Opposed? No.
What was the count? Okay, thank you.
Still have, well, the websites are out.
Rosanna
Are we-
prepared this. She did it.
This is a very rough draft. It's written to address the ADA compliance and also as OPA as government entity. So you guys can the board can make changes. Board direction, please.
What was the final figure I was making back and forth? The final figure of the amount of your proposed contract.
We had multiple, but yeah,
There's nothing but. Just, not.
Funds.
Yeah, look through this. The. People
Right,
have been talked out, so it's a problem.
because they were not numbers based on the same services. And so it was like, and then everybody's kind of bidding against each other or posing. So this is where we landed.
And you've looked at it?
Pardon?
Have you looked at it?
I want to take some more time with it tomorrow with Rosanna as we pare it down. Particularly with regard to the federal citations.
Right, I would take a look, like, only reference ADA prepared moving,
Mhm.
right? I sent to Rosanna, yeah, summary of what special districts is tomorrow. Website. And, I know we have to have like 2 years of budget, a year of meeting minutes. We have to list the meetings for the year. I would ask if it's not too much time to that we limit what's on our website to only what's required to be on the website.
I agree.
And, I don't know how we get it pared down to just that basic stuff and how much work effort it is to take everything out is on the list. If you could send that list to our IT helper or how we would achieve that work effort, tell us. But I would like to do that sooner than later.
Yeah.
And if it was up to me, I hate to say this, but it was up to me, I would put the website down, because of the ADA risk. So I don't know. Tell us, please, Danny, what your advice would be, the risks with ADA versus the statutory
So
website.
generally what happens with the Department of Justice who enforces the ADA is if it's found that that somebody makes a complaint that our website is not compliant, then we will have a consent order presented to us and a timeline with how to get, I mean, our budget constraints are an excuse, not forever, because we're working reasonably towards making sure that this is compliant. I've mentioned that before, taking the website down. That's ideal, no liability for ADA, right? But that didn't seem to get much traction here, that it's important that we have a website. And if we have a website, it's got to be compliant. So,
Easter egg.
right.
So
I suspect there are some special districts out there that don't have a whole lot of purpose. That's why these new statutes have come down. That's my guess. And that is going to be, though they will be somewhat onerous for us to do. So we'll get ahead of that. But I agree with you that, for example, the port operating agreement, although that is wonderful, those of us in this room probably access that agreement, my guess, more than anybody else has ever accessed it, right? It's a big document and it doesn't need to be on the website. They're public records that are easily accessible, and Rosanna does a great job of responding to those requests. So I don't think much of it. Our meeting information are things that the public wants to see. Otherwise, and we could put on there also, I'm not looking at make sure it's very clear how public records are requested. I know you can do a request electronically. So in your contract, I thought it had, forgive me, I'm not web design or management of the website.
Of the website.
Of the website.
Management of the website.
So is that something that you do? You can take documents off, or we have to go through
Yes, and that's gonna take a lot of time.
to take it off? Yeah. Yeah. So
So we, running, thank you, talked about for taking the website down temporarily until the new version to avoid any.
well, you said the new bill. I think we probably need to figure out what our requirements are. I have not studied the bill long enough to. I know that there are provisions in the bill that talk about what you put on your website, whether we have to have a website. I don't. That's what Commissioner Hill said. So I trust she's right. I'll look at it.
So,
And by the way, I did ask my IT support to help me out with cleaning up. He's not a web designer. He will not touch it.
So Jamie's really,
I'll work with Rosie. Right now, what was before us is a rough draft of an RFP. So that if there were any objections tonight, or in the next few days, I mean, we don't have a deadline, but we need to get on it. If you all could look at it and get back to Rosanna and I, no matter what the decision is, I don't think it's going to happen tonight about the website. We at least should put this RFP out there on the street, see what we get back, what the costs are. And maybe we can make a better informed decision then.
And, yeah. Heaven forbid, we should get sued if we're putting out the RFP ahead of time. We show good faith effort to.
That's right.
Work.
If we're working towards that, I mean,
I don't have a budget. We put out an RFP. So we're making steps to continue with the record.
that's right.
yeah, I don't think you can put out an RFP. The way this is structured, it's saying that the Department of Justice requires X. We want the firm to come in and give us a website that meets the requirements of the law. And the firm that sees this is going to say, I can't guarantee compliance with the law. You can
Understand.
provide compliance off the shelf with your RFP.
Right.
But we do need a website with ROI and this and that meets the requirements of the special districts.
Mhm.
And yeah, and so thank you, Roseanne, for putting this together. It's very comprehensive, but that'll be my comment.
Yes, I understand.
It's a great first step.
yes. Any other comments, questions, or recommendations for that? And what Jamie jumps right in with Rosanna?
Can we work on taking stuff off the website, or do you feel like you don't have time?
I could start, yeah. And I am stopping at 7 hours.
Good.
That's. Yeah, we're all enough.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to 10:13, Administrative Office Manager Reports. Rosanna.
You all have a copy of my report in the meeting packet and plus an additional update report that was asked of me by Commissioner Moore, so I shared that with you guys. The only thing I want to update again is next month, we will have our OHPA officers election. So just be ready for that. And in November, we will only have one meeting because of Thanksgiving. And also December, just one meeting.
That's just the usual first meeting of the month.
Correct. And then there's a port tour tomorrow at 10, just a reminder. And that's it.
Or Commissioner, Commissioner Moore.
Paying the balance for security. There are currently two invoices, that are unpaid, one for 9/15 for $12,810.70. There's also an invoice from 9/25 for $13,955.37. When will relay pay that?
So is that just our standard security fees?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know they were like.
Yeah, I didn't know they were like. they were just-
The 9/15, I would say that is late in 9/25. It's been forwarded to be paid.
Okay, I'll check on that.
Is that what you sent to Mary?
Mhm.
Everything goes to Mary.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And this has a net 30.
5-year, you still discuss it?
Good, yes. Go ahead.
5-year capital improvement plan. Wasn't that due today? This meeting, the update?
Ted, I yield to you
I-
about your. Because if there are any changes in our 5-year plan, I have to post it on our website. That's per special district. Florida statute.
So that's not ready for the meeting,
That's not ready.
will be ready for now.
But that,
Will be ready for the next meeting,
I will work on it.
then yes or no?
It's not a yes or a no.
And keep in mind, AC is we're gonna do a lot with that workshop. So. Yeah, that I need it, but, we got a November meeting, agenda item.
I thought it was for the quarter project, but
It goes to the Florida Police Council, but it's supposed to be updated every year. And then that's the information that goes to the Florida Police Council.
but on our website, you can do more.
Right, right.
Yeah, so we have to update it to 5 year going forward. Every year we're supposed to look at it and update it. Something that's last year and stuff that's in there. It says we were gonna do things in 2025, but we didn't do. Because we did other things, right? Like we made a plan, we made adjustments, and really ideally we should make amendments if you're going to not follow the plan. So like throughout the year, if we do a lot of that in this, and you're going to do it right. But it's a rolling 5 year going forward, and it is supposed to be updated every year.
And then that term becomes what it's for the Police Council. Next year, we go back and we'll say,
And I do have a deadline of December 1st to post that on the website, so it has to be due in November.
there were several, related to the, security guard contract RFP that's out on the street. There were several questions that, have been forwarded to the port operator for attention and comment. When will those be answered?
yeah, so, I mean, we need to talk about that. I think first of all, we need to extend the deadline for RFP. I mean, y'all are asking me to answer questions for a contractor that is y'all's contract. So, I mean, of course we interact with them, but I pay the bill, but
If I may interrupt. Those, yeah, we took care of those.
I didn't see.
There was another one that I emailed it to you. Yeah.
Eric, did you answer that?
Sir,
And did you answer that? There were three.
another one, I'm not aware of that.
Yeah.
Either, but we took care of the five that I was told, right? Actually, there was, three, number 3, 4, and 5, took care of it.
You get 1 and 2, so they're clear the week.
Mhm.
1 and 2 were done.
Then another one came in and I forwarded that to both, well, to the whole board.
I'll get, we'll talk about it. And the reason we communicate back and forth, because if he's changing something, I'm not aware. I'd like to make sure that what information you put out there is correct. Okay, so that's why, the other day I went out there and sit down with him and said, okay, this is the fact of the matter. So that it won't come back and well, bogus information. We discussed it. Actually, there was 3 of us that discussed it. And we made the input and sent it. Great. So it's good.
cool.
Okay, so now there's just one outstanding amount that came in.
I'll take a look at it, and if I can fire it, I'll copy you in on it, send it back. If you got anything, you can answer it, but I'll tell her.
It was forwarded yesterday at 2:07 PM to Mr. Zitrar and Nelson.
Yeah, I'll look at it. I didn't see it, but I'll take it.
All right. Fender engineering drawings and plan. And Doc was requested some additional information related to a,
Yeah, so I'm not trying to be smart on it, but like we're replacing the fenders. There's no engineered draw. Like I don't know,
I mean, DOT is saying we need engineers.
but I don't understand what they're looking for. We're replacing 3 fenders. There's no engineered drawing to be had.
So
Why would I
the
don't.
best thing I think to do is, don't we have a contact person that we've spoken with? Why don't you get on the phone with them and
Okay.
ask? Because I'm just going by what they said.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I think I took them to the engineering plans, and I'm gonna look forward to you not smart out. Fine. That's fine.
It's also. It's a reimbursement as concurrent. Correct. And so what they want to know is when the inventory is received, you actually get the goods out of work, they will pay for those goods. If you have engineering work that's done, that you pay the contractor for engineering, and so it's a stamped ready plan or an engineering plan, that's what we're talking about plans. They will pay for that advanced planning, even though you don't have inventory sitting on your dock.
Right.
They don't want to disperse funds until you've taken possession of the vendors or the work has been done.
Right.
So
And
that's what they want. They want.
So it's a learning.
It's either a stamped plan, this engineering work that they can pay for, or the vendors sitting on the dock ready to be installed, they'll pay for that too.
right, you gotta see it from my perspective. It's a learning moment for me because the 2 like you gotta invoice them. I said, even if it's a small invoice, please invoice it. That way we can reimburse you and you're off the bad list. I tried. I went to the contractor and said, hey, can you 3 invoices with some work? They did that upon my request, and now it's being denied. So
Pre-invoice would be denied.
what's that?
Pre-invoice.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yes, learning modes, like I've never done. So what
And frankly, I mean, that's a false claims issue. I wouldn't even say that with pre-invoice. Don't say pre-invoice.
okay,
That's not.
it was word assigned, so it was not. So I think what we should do is we should probably go back to TIC and ask them to rescind the invoice and say, hey, only send us an invoice when the actual work is started. I think that's what we should do. And that way the slate's clean, we don't have to worry about us paying, not getting reimbursed. Does that sound like a plan?
Just report that, so, and if you want that in writing from FDOT, I think they've given us an email, that says what they would reimburse for, and what their standard is for what they reimburse for. But it's inventory goods, physically taken possession of, And it's engineered plans. that will take
Right.
Two things. Anything else, don't invoice.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. You remember that call, the guy was like pressuring me to get an invoice across and get off the bad ones.
Yeah, he wants work performed, and I think you explained reasonably that because of tariffs, you had to switch vendors.
Yeah.
And that the lead time to get the bids is longer.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
people are on that.
So no engineering thing, that's great.
That $32,000 invoice was paid already to TIC.
So we'll, you said that to Mary, do,
Mm,
okay,
It's already paid.
Okay.
Savage funded the $32,000 and I
Really?
processed the,
we,
sorry, relay.
okay, so
Sorry.
I paid on it.
Mhm. So, but then,
You haven't submitted them yet.
correct,
Yeah,
because they want backup to the payment.
Well, what is sit on that? We can't just sit on it.
Correct.
because it's not stamped here. It doesn't meet their requirement to be first.
But eventually I can submit it, eventually I can submit that.
It's the ones that
Okay, that's, I don't know, I mean,
Yeah, I would think
it's not nothing, but I don't think my trouble to go and try to say, hey, give us our money back and let's redo it. I'll have a conversation with TS.
I mean, it doesn't meet their milestone requirement. To be a positive milestone to be eligible. And that's, it's not, it hasn't been rejected, like, you can't use it.
They did
Yeah.
give us details of what they want.
Yeah. And last, applicant invoice for $82,679.64 related to the PIDP application. Has that been paid yet?
Has that been,
It's
That's-
been passed to,
oh, that came across my desk, so that went above a certain level, so it had to be signed off all with like a major, okay, CapEx. So I did, I signed the DocuSign for that. That shouldn't go there.
And how long will that take?
It should move pretty quick. I'll check on that.
So in the future, is there a, if things are getting paid, things are getting done in a timely manner, is there a better way, so we're not here doing bill sheets, in the meeting, is there a way for us to, we communicate directly with you, Ted, if
Send it to Travis, copy me on.
warriors?
You don't want to do your correct. It's strong, that's stuff. Anything else? What's your?
Yeah, so I was glad to be able to go to the port and meet with Vanish regarding the port truck traffic doing dispute. It's been an outstanding issue. This was a kickoff meeting, and the purpose of the study, again, it's a full budget study, it's a great thing for the port. The purpose of the study is to identify opportunities for efficiency with trucks and ingress and egress coming to and from the port. What's causing queuing, but also how do we optimize efficiency, how do we minimize emissions of trucks in the island, a lot of times trucks will come early, they park overnight, if the weather's inclement, they have air conditioning units, they have their engine going. All of that is just waste, right? Like we don't want these bottlenecks. But it also helps to alleviate friction to the neighborhood, we can eliminate truck queuing issues. So we're excited to get that study started. It's going to be data collection from cameras, basically truck counts, traffic counts at a specific intersection. We haven't identified the date. We will start the study. What we are looking at, Travis, thank you for providing so much material, good input, and also to Phil for coming to the meeting and providing great input on the operations report and how it ebbs and flows. I think it's going to be really key that you and Phil are directing Vanish's efforts so that they are getting a real picture of the instances of queuing because it's not every day. It's a huge issue that is not always foreseeable. And we need to be able to collect data, then when the queuing occurs, go back and look at that specific window. Which I think is the direction we're going, and hopefully we can come up with some good suggestions of things we can do that maybe don't necessarily require mixing up the way we run operations, where we definitely don't want inherent developments. So this is funded by FDOT. FDOT is all about being good. So I know there was some concern that this was being driven by nuisance issues, but it's really supposed to help alleviate inefficiencies and bottlenecks. So they told me that, and then also I was public officials reception, and then I saw Chair Taylor there as well, and many other local and statewide elected officials. I also attended the Capital Board stakeholders function. So both those meetings and both Dean Black, as well as putting our Timber Yard Road up to the flag. And then tomorrow to get the opportunity to meet with Chair Purdue. But each of these touch points, what I'm reiterating is need more investment in capital expenditures and form. And I'm lobbying and requesting investment and appropriations for the board, for customs, for shoring up our infrastructure. And I think our representatives are hearing us. The board needs to, and as a board collectively, we need to be very concerned, very serious about investing in the port's infrastructure. And we are the first port in Florida. We are a good employer. We have the same headcount of employees as we've had for 30 years. We have a significantly reduced headcount. We're a niche port. We are part of the diversified mix of maritime investments in infrastructure for the state. And you're a key port because you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You can't just rely on Jacksonville to have a sufficient point of contact. We have rail, you have trucks, you have no bridge going out to the open water, only 2 miles out to the sea. And we really need to be allocating as board members for those investments because the port of Grenada is in need of significant investments, and we're not going to get there without help from the state, the feds, from every angle. So hopefully I know you guys are all being the same realm. And then I want to give an update on the mural. I received an initial mock-up, which I didn't provide Hosanna against the meeting to the data. Not too really surprised, but it's like elegant and light, and it's kind of modern looking design. That was an initial design. He's going to tweak it a little bit to incorporate the themes of the working waterfront and send that back. And then we have one other mural artist who reached out to request proposal. So we'll bring those back to the board. Obviously, you can go forward or to go find money. For the project. That's all.
First. Vice Chairman.
Okay, just 2 items. The first being the maintenance dredging project that will get underway this month. Out in front of the port there, they're going to hit the main channel and the turning basin, 1,000 feet in the turning basin. They're looking to remove 139,000 cubic yards of material. It will be taken offshore. We spent an hour listening to their environmental setup, their management chain of command. Taylor Miller will be the project manager on this project. I've got his direct number and information. He said if there's any problems, get a hold of us and we'll take care of it. The schedule right now is for them to mobilize on 10/29, and they will actually go to work on 10/31 with a completion date somewhere about mid-November. So they've been They were indicating today that they're gonna get in there, they're gonna get this done and get out. So I think there will be very minimal effects for vessel traffic. You can run through that. So I know the times that I've dealt with them and they were out there dredging, they were very, mindful of our running a business and they stayed out of our way. So,
Just for clarification, this is not including dredging the berm, right?
no, this is just making dredging out from them. There's actually, it's showing you right there where it's from.
Yeah.
And then farm medicine and, it's going to take, it's going. But,
Yeah, I think, no, change subject. I do think we're probably due for a sounding pretty soon of our birds.
We had that at work.
We kind of,
it usually happens about every 3 years.
we're there.
Okay. So, but with that being said, it was a very informative meeting. Rosanna was on there with me as well. They laid it out. I mean, they went through the chain of command, who you need to call for what issues. But, Taylor said, you know, you got to call. So we're good there. The second thing that I'd like to talk about, is then go back to those photos and, yeah. Those guys, I think it's MJ Wood, that done the work, they done a good job. On the, they done the concrete block and the sheet metal, or was it somebody?
That was, ended up being a company out of Texas,
Okay.
Leonard Williams, I think it's called, so we finally had to reach out to several people, they were the only one.
As you can see what the rail looks like. I went from one end to the other, they put all the, I-beam back up, got tons of strict on it. The only thing that I'll get with you on, there's two doors that have a problem, but I'll get with you. Okay. I went all the way down, it looks unbelievable. They cleaned it up, and that's, housekeeping there, but I'll get with you too on a couple items, but overall, it's a 100% improvement over what we had out. Because you're being surprised, the traffic goes down Front Street and they're always looking over there. I know when I was at the warehouse. So it's all painted, they even went in and painted the center block wall to put back up. It was actually painted along with the paneling, and it looks so much better. It's not that lot differential between the concrete and the metal. So I just wanted to bring in Travis, thank you. You know, what you said you were going to do, you done. You can trust me, that's very appreciated. So, but there's your, that's it there.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Mr. Cole. I'd ask that, it seems to be good on the agenda, but that's okay, I'll discuss it now and just briefly, during our budget talks, that, we talked about reducing our court counsel and our salaries, and by doing that, that put us in a positive number. And so the 1,000 work, or had budgeted for, NCD, we took off. So we're the only municipality that is not participating with NCEDB. And NCEDB Executive Committee will consider now whether or not to keep our seat on the board. And not participating with NCEDB will do, as an economic engine, it doesn't look good. I don't want to say.
It is, when would our payment be due?
I'm sorry.
When would our next payment?
We don't have to pay it until we wait until the end of the year, pay it before.
The end of the year of December or the end of the year?
No,
Next July.
July, August.
With you supporting, regular bill award. mean, I was, it's kind of the thousand one points of. It's not just a bad look, but we look at them as, we should as a partnership. We are the elected economic development board. I think, you know, we talked about that before, um, throughout the county, and we should be partnering with, the economic development board. Um, I mean, you get everything out, it was vote that we were against, but it was back to be one of the other three. Uh, Look, I'll leave for discussion before I think the next comment.
Could we pay that as we go, like not budget item, $6,000 in the budget to the green? Could we make that payment later on in the year?
We always do that.
Individuals,
You always do them.
you're not as a budget like this.
It still should be budgeted.
So.
Yeah.
Opposite to,
You can do a budget amendment at any time in the year, and that's what it would require to make sure, not just like a payment, you know, because everything is accounted for.
Maybe we'll risk it. Not development, entity in Nassau County. And then the economic board was formed in the 90s, we were in the 40s. And I think we had frankly more involvement before. There's been a lot of back and forth between county, economic development board, back to the board for Indiana. Where frequently we have to advocate for our seat at the table with Jackson SA, with, you know, exposure to the board for Indiana. And I think we do a good job of, you know, asking Sherry to elevate our needs. But what I frankly like wish that we had more was support with the things that we do that are economic activities. So like we are engaging in grant making and in grant management activities, and we used to do a lot of support from the economic development board in that regard previously, but we don't anymore. And I hope that we would look at this relationship and try to get more from the boards that we are involved in. And since we're talking about the budget, I think it's only fair the items. So the Board of Works Council and OSTED, right now we're talking about updating our 5-year rolling Board of Works Council capital plan that we publish on their website, and we rely on that to comply with our statutes. We haven't coordinated with them because we didn't attend the meeting, right? And that's a statewide touch point that is very good for Oakland, and so I'm not in favor of defending that either. Look at the only $350, I think is what we pay the chamber, maybe less annually, and Rosanna gets a lot of benefit out of being involved in the chamber. She attended several of their workshops. She's probably getting most benefit out of the chamber of any of us, because she's getting real business support from our chamber of commerce. So like we went through our budget process, we identified opportunities for cutting. And I think we took a hard look at all these boards that we're involved in, and honestly, like individual members of this board, if we think it's meaningful, then perhaps we should make those investments. We get a very high salary relative to the city and other municipalities. Individuals do collect a high salary for a special district. And so I know it people, some persons board to take a salary cut, but I don't think that just because now we have a slight surplus in our budget, and now's an opportunity to go back for a line item, readdition to that budget and go back and, you know, add individual items back in after the fact. If we are gonna be thoughtful about having these memberships, I think we need a case for what we are truly getting from those groups, what our plan is and why we're making that public investment.
Mr. Chairman, if the commissioners feel that the economic development board that and for the teams, I would not have a problem. We're talking about $1,000. That's $200 to the mission. I'll be more than happy to lay that out. And you know what? Let's give it to it. Maybe next year we can put it back in the budget. Don't need to be bouncing back in the budget. Change just think that I have no problem paying for it. You know, we had to make some hard decisions. Our salary was one of them. We did it unanimously. So hopefully we can agree on this, you know, we'll just get the money together in Roseanne. Let you just let you.
So I'm smiling because when I said one more thing, I said, I'll let everybody discuss it. That's what I'm just gonna suggest. We could, hey, tell Sherry to voice me. I don't know, but that's again, you talk about how important it is. And you feel strong about it. We can't with that. This is something that, they're marketing the horse. They're promoting us. There's so much they can do. There's so much that we can even work with them on. And maybe it's, we have that relationship. We have Mr. Cole on the board. Maybe it's requesting their executive director come to more meetings and take us to, more of that dialogue. Whatever it is, whatever they did before that they're not doing now, it's, address them, and talk about them. But I think, yeah, so, um, my wish toward it, it means keeping our sale board and keeping that work.
And I think they actually, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Cole, but they reduced the, yearly fee from what, $25,000 for us. Correct. I mean, I'm speaking for myself, but I'm moving that.
But all other municipalities have paid the 2,500. It was a mask, it was not demand or annual dues type thing. It's just a task to support. And all the others have done it, like 100 at least. I mean,
Chair,
Yes.
just to be clear, we did pay that $1,000 for this fiscal year. So we're talking about renewing next year. So we are good with,
Six.
correct. Yeah, so
Yeah, I think. Believe maybe. Till next July.
The same new chamber. It's.
Yeah.
Like,
Comments? Questions? Right, next tab, paid parking discussion. No, sorry, meeting,
Pretty good.
Hi.